Well, welcome into our next installment of our weekly videos that are designed really to encourage you, but also to remind you of the things that we hold true here at the Grove Church. We want to jump right in to our next core value. And as we do, I want to ask you a question. When you think of family, what comes to mind? Because as we enter into and start discussing what it means for us to be a faithful family, which is one of our core values, I think a lot of us draw from our experience from our childhood. And some of us have great experiences being in the family that God gave us. And some of us don't have so great of experiences. And we bring that to the table and we read the New Testament and we start seeing words like, man, he called us brothers and sisters. He called us a family, a household of God. And in so doing, the scriptures also tell us that if we would believe in the Son, if we would believe in Jesus, that He would give us the right to become children of God. You see, it is a myth to think that everyone is God's child. We are all God's offspring as humans made in the image of God, but we're not all relationally connected to our Father. You see, that only comes when we would believe in His Son Jesus, who has come to die for those of us, all of us who would rebel against Him and then come into the fold of God. When we talk about being family, we talk about our Father in heaven who has adopted us. We were once orphans going our own way and has adopted us and brought us into the family of God. And now we have a new family. One time in Jesus' ministry, He was teaching in a house. And some of His disciples came to Him and they said, hey, your mother and your brothers are outside looking for you. And He quickly redefined what His family was all about. It was no longer His nuclear family, although He would include them. Instead, He says, who are my mother and who are my brothers? It is those who would seek to do the will of my Father. I pray and I hope that's you and me, that if we are following Jesus in all of life, we are seeking to obey Jesus in all of life. We are seeking the will of our Father in all of life. And so when we get brought into the family of God, that's truly an amazing experience. But see, it's not just the family that we want to talk about, but we've chosen the descriptor of faithful family on purpose. We want to be united in the faith of our Heavenly Father, being brought into the family of God by our big brother Jesus, and then united in the Spirit. We want to celebrate that, but we also want to say that we want to and long to be faithful to one another. Faithful to God? Yes, that's assumed, but faithful to one another, and what would that look like? It would mean that we sometimes wrestle like brothers and sisters. We correct one another. We encourage one another. But in all things, we remain faithful to one another's faith, faithful to one another's growth in the gospel. So instead of gossiping, instead of slandering, or instead of just separating yourself from people because of superficial reasons, perhaps misunderstandings or assumptions, no, instead God says, no, you are a family. You are brothers and sisters. And you got to work this thing out. And so our prayer, and the reason why we truly believe that being a faithful family is at the core of who we are, because it is in those moments that we will mature. It is in those moments when we are faced with either flight or actually healthy engagement in faith. It's in those moments that we will mature in Jesus. See, when we have to talk to each other about the things that hurt us, we have to admit that we've been hurt. We have to lay down our guard. And we also have to engage one another with humility and with faith that Jesus is going to do something amazing in those moments. See, this is the heart of living as a family of believers. It's the heart of who the Grove truly is. And so it's no wonder that we talk about this on a regular basis, that if we gossip, if we backbite, if we devour one another in these ways, we will never grow up in the faith. So our hope is that you would latch onto this vision that God has given us in the New Testament, that we would be a family, brothers, sisters, united in the Spirit, celebrating what our big bro Jesus has done for us on the cross as we worship our good and gracious King. Would you help us do that? Would you join in on this vision of being a faithful family? And would you encourage one another Would you encourage one another to seek Jesus, which ultimately will mean that we have to call each other out, that we have to receive that calling out, but ultimately that we would draw upon the grace of Jesus to love him and love one another well. This is what it means to be a faithful family. Would you follow us in this journey?
Love for